Welcome back to the channel everyone, and today we are back on with the Porsche 911 project. Now if you remember last time we removed all the oil return tubes, the exhaust pipes and all that sort of stuff to gain access to those tubes. The plan was to get this done before the Ferrari came back from the paint shop. However, if you remember, they only sent me one of the 4 tubes that I'd ordered, so we only actually managed to get one of these tubes replaced before the Ferrari came back, which meant I had to bring this car to my garage at home, which is where we are at now. Now, what I actually noticed, somebody rightfully pointed out, is that the tube that I did fit is actually in back to front, because the oil is flowing from the head this way, and you don't want the oil to build up behind the rubber seal there, so this needs turning round. So we are going to have to take this one back out, flip it around and put it in the correct way. So we live and learn. Again, it's the first time I've ever done this job, so it is a learning curve for me. We've got all the holes bunged up, so I've got to pull the tissue paper out of those before we commence any work, so we'll get those out before we start. Now it is about 30 degrees in here today. It's absolutely sweltering, so we have got the aircon going, so I do apologise if there's a little bit of background noise, but it's absolutely sweltering here today, so that is a godsend. Now as we work our way up here, we've got all the stuff laid out here on the bench. We've got our exhaust pipes that we've cleaned up and got all the oil off. We've cleaned the surfaces, ready to mate up to our new gaskets. They're all clean, ready to go. We've got our new oil return tubes there, which we are about to build up very shortly, and we've got a full gasket set. Now I might be doing this a little bit backwards because I do plan on using this full gasket set and doing a rebuild on this engine. However, I've got that many projects on the go at the moment. I just want to make this car usable so I can drive it and enjoy it whilst I'm doing other projects. It just doesn't make sense to have another car completely stripped down that I can't use whilst I can't get it in the main workshop. So once the Ferrari and a couple of the other projects are out of the way, we will be getting this car back in the main workshop, stripping it down and doing a full restoration on this particular car. But for now, I just want to make it hold oil, not leak oil everywhere, and be drivable and usable so I can enjoy it through the summer, and then we can deal with the rest of it in the coming months. So as I said, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to remove those paper bungs that I put in the bores or in the exhaust ports, take those out, have a bit of a clean up, clean all the holes, make sure there's no debris in there, and then we can start to build up our new oil return tubes, and hopefully today we'll get those installed and fill the engine back up with oil and get it running. So fingers crossed, let's see how we get on. Right, so we've got our first tube out there with all the rubber O-rings and the circlip. Now the first thing we are going to do is put the circlip over the tube. Expand that circlip. It's a bit of a squeeze. Just run that down there a little bit like so. Next, first O-ring, the small ones, put a little bit of oil on there just to help this O-ring glide over the tube. Move that down to the bottom position, like so. Next O-ring again, a little bit of oil. Pop that over. This should now glide over. Just put a little bit of oil inside the tube just to help it go over those O-rings. Slide that down there, just like that. And then we have our large O-rings which go on either end. Again, a little bit of oil on the seal, and the O-ring, pop that one on, a bit more oil, pop that one on, and that is one oil return tube built up. We're just going to do that same procedure again now on the other two, and then we'll start to get these installed. Right, so what I'm trying to do here, guys, is I'm trying to put a Jubilee clip around this tube that we fitted the wrong way around, just to give me something to pry against without damaging the tube. So I'm hoping a little bit of a nip on this Jubilee clip, I can then use that to lever against to pop this tube out. Whether this is going to work or not, don't entirely know, but I really don't want to damage this tube, because that means I will then have to order another one. Yes, there we go. That worked an absolute treat, actually. A little bit more on that. There we go. Yes, perfect. Like something in somewhere. Oof. Okay. Just try the 2 spanner trick. One on there, one on there. Try and lever them apart. Oh yeah, that worked. Lovely. There we go. That's that one done. Just pop that Jubilee clip back off there because we don't need it now. So move on to the next one. I've just put a set of grips on there very loosely, just to try and lock against that Jubilee clip, just to give me a little bit more to push on. Hopefully this will now drop in. Come on. That one's in. I'm sure there is many other ways of doing this, guys, but again I'm limited to what tools and equipment I've got here. I am in my garage at home, so we are working with what we've got. So I'm sure there's going to be lots of comments saying should have done it like this and should have done it like that, but unfortunately I've only got the tools I've got here in this workshop. So that gets that done. That's 2 in. Let's get on the next one. Right guys, so a little bit of a struggle there, because again I am limited for tools at home. All the main tools are in the main workshop, but we got all 4 of those oil return tubes now in. So let's start to put the exhaust back on. All our new exhaust gaskets here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put a tiny bit of exhaust compound just around this edge, and then hopefully that will help these manifold gaskets stick to the studs, just so they're not falling off while trying to push the exhaust back on. There's quite a lot of gaskets there to try and hold in place, so I'm not going to go mad with it, just a little smear which will hopefully hold these in place for me. Yeah, so they are falling off, guys. I've just checked it there. So definitely going to put a little smear of this on again, just to help those gaskets bond. If I could get away without using it, I probably would, but I'd rather put a little bit of this on and not struggle. Much better, holds it in place nicely, that. on there for me. Hold it. Better. Okay, that one now. Here we go. Yep. Hold it, don't let it turn. Don't let it turn.
Do you need anything? Do you need anything?
Yeah. You can hold this for me in a minute more.
What do you want? Wait a second, I need to itch my nose.
You there?
Yeah?
You got it, guys?
Is it the dangerous part?
Right, so that is everything pretty much back on now underneath. We've got all those new oil return tubes in, we've got all the exhaust back on, all new gaskets fitted, all new nuts and bolts in the exhausts as well. So it's now time, jack it back up, let's get these stands out, drop it back on the floor, and let's start to refill the oil, run it up to temperature, and fingers crossed we don't have any major leaks. Now, I'm not bothered if there's the odd drip, because these cars are noted for oil leaks anyway. They are a leaky engine, so I'm not too fussed if there is a little bit of a drip, which is manageable. But obviously before, the car was losing so much oil, it just wasn't runnable. Basically, it wasn't usable like that, because the amount of oil that was coming out of it was just far too much. Very substantial oil leak. So fingers crossed that has cured the majority of it. Let's get it on the floor, let's get some oil in it, let's get it up to temp, and see how it goes. Come. Lifting it. Come out of the way now. Just like that. You pulled it? Yeah? Well done.
Now let go.
Yeah. Right, time to get some oil back in here now. So basically what I'm going to do, we're going to start off by putting a tub of oil in the tank, roughly about 5 litres. Got my little helper here who's going to help me pour this in and hold the funnel for me. So we're going to put this tub in, we're going to run it up, get a little bit of oil around the engine, check it again, probably want topping up again, then obviously we'll get it up to temperature and check it with the engine running. So let's get some in, let's get some oil moving around this engine. You might get some oil on your hands here. So on stick, can you get me a cloth please, miss? It's not even on the dipstick yet. Don't go down. I think we'll put a bit more in that before we start it. I think we'll add a little bit more, just not quite halfway. I want to get halfway between minimum and maximum, and then we'll fire it up and let some of that oil move around the engine. There we go. Better, isn't it? Right, okay. Let's put the lid back on. We'll open all the doors. And we'll start it up and let it run. Put some oil around. Right, so we've got plenty of oil in there now. So I'm going to run this up to temperature. And then we'll check the oil again. Make sure the level's right. We'll obviously monitor it for leaks and stuff in between. So let's fire it up. Fingers crossed it doesn't spew any oil out. Right, so the car's been running for a little while now, it's up to temperature. I've just took the oil cap off, I'm going to check the oil level now the car is up to temperature with the engine running, and then we'll see what we're getting on the dash as well. That's pretty much bob on there, on the maximum, just under the max. Don't really want to run it at full capacity. I'll dribble down the stick a bit, but it's just under the maximum mark, which is pretty much bob on what we're looking for. Right, let's go and have a look what reading we're getting on the dash. Looking for about halfway on the gauge. Right, so the gauge on the dash is just over half. They say they should run around halfway. It is just over half, but I think that should be fine. So that should do us. Still not sure what that red light is on the dash there. If anybody can tell me in the comments what that means. I'm not entirely sure what that is. As the car's had a good run, we're happy with the oil level on the dipstick and on the dash with the car running and up to temperature. That looks fine. So now let's have a look underneath and see if we've got any drips. And that is bone dry under there. So I think we'll say that that is a job well done. But it's not very often you don't get any drips on these cars. So pretty happy with that. Right, so it's now the following morning. So I'm just going to stick my head under the back of the car now, and hopefully the repairs we did yesterday have stopped these oil leaks. So let's have a little nosy underneath and see if it's remained dry under there. Yes, it has. Nice and dry, no leaks. So I call that a mission success. That now means I can use this car through the summer, get some enjoyment out of it whilst the weather is still nice. I'm going to drag this out of the garage over the next couple of days, give it a good wash, clean it up a little bit, and give it a good running around, and actually get some use out of this thing. So yeah, happy with that. That's going to be it for this one, guys. Hope you have enjoyed this video. Please like, share and subscribe. Drop us some comments as always and let us know what you think of this build so far. And we'll see you all on the next video.